Hey everybody, Nicole and I have our very first Creating with Collections layout live today. I'm going to start today's layout by die cutting a whole bunch of letters and creating the title for my page today. I'm going to be using my favorite waffle flower dies and that 6x8-ish notepad from the collection. I'm going to start my layout today by kind of making my own sort of photo collage. I have 5 photos here, but then I also have printed a little bit of journaling, and I'm going to add some more journaling to this layout as I work on it. So 4 or 5 photos, depending on how you look at it, for this particular layout. So what I'm doing now is I want to create my own collage, and on this collage I want to have my photos, all of my journaling, and my title. And so once I have those things on the page, I'm going to add or stamp some journaling, and then we're just going to need to embellish our page for today. So I'm going to start with my photos. They're down. Now I need my title. That's next. I am going to go ahead and use my Misty T-square ruler. This T-square ruler is only 6 inches, but it is heavy and it stays put, and it actually makes me be able to put my title on straight. So I work with the fact that it is only 6 inches. The dies I created my title with are from a waffle flower. They are the coolest dies, and I absolutely love them. So they have both the letter die, but then they also have an outline that you can cut, so you can mix and match and make your title a little bit chunkier. You can make your letters have a fun little mat, and so I went with this blue and yellow color scheme for this particular title piece. So now it's time to go ahead and allocate some room on my page for some journaling. I have this stamp in my stash. It is my very favorite journal stamp. I use it all the time. I have some Catherine Polar Juniper Mist ink, which is some really nice deep dark blue. I am going to go ahead and stamp free range on my layout, which means I need to make sure I give my stamp lots of contact with my paper, let it rest a little bit, use my Stampin' Bug, so I get a really good impression the first time. So this is a layout and page design that I do mostly when I have multiple photos on a page, plus a lot of journaling that I want to include. So now that I have my journaling, my title, my photos, all on a sheet of white cardstock, I'm going to go ahead and trim that white cardstock down. Are there open places? Yep, those are just pure spaces where I am going to go ahead and embellish my page. First up, I'm going to take some Hickory Smoke Distress Oxide ink, and I'm going to ink up all the edges. Next, I need to choose a background paper for my collage. I'm going to go through a bunch of these. I quite quickly decide that I really like it against blue, but I don't want this layout to be just blue and yellow. I want to pull in a bunch of the colors from the line. So I'm going to flip through till I find this heart paper that has all the different colors. So it's that dark blue that looks really, really nice on with my background or with my photo, but it also has all of the other colors in it, this one. And this is the one I decide to go with because I'm going to be covering up a lot of this page, and it's just going to be around the edges that you're going to see all the different hearts. It doesn't become too busy, but it also pulls in all the different colors from the collection. So when I create my embellishment clusters, I don't have to worry about sticking to colors. I can pull in all the different colors, and it's all going to coordinate really well. I decided that I really want to pop this whole section up on some foam tape to give it some separation from the background and a bit more contrast, because remember, this collage is the important part of our layout. This is where all of the story and information is going to be. I'm grabbing my Big Mama foam tape from Spiegel Mom Scraps, and I am putting a lot of foam tape on the back of this paper. And that's okay, because this was the look that I wanted. And the easiest way for me to be able to kind of pop up all of this, but to also keep it from becoming unstable or bowing in the middle, is just to use a lot of foam tape. This foam tape is my absolute favorite. It is super sticky. It's so nice. You get a huge, giant roll, and the price is really good too. So just getting that nice and centered onto my background paper. And now we can have a play. I'm going to start with the stickers because I know I want to have a separate label that will hold the date that some of these photos were taken. I want to add a couple of those phrase stickers that are across the bottom. I'm basically going to go ahead and use any of the phrase or words that are on this sticker sheet that coordinate and will go with the story and the information that's on this page. And then I'm going to come in with all of the flowers. If you had any questions as to why I bought 2 packages of ephemera. If you are new to my channel, if you haven't been watching me for a long time, if you saw all the flowers I bought and went, why did she order so many flowers? Now is when you're going to see why. I use flowers like, I don't know. They are my most loved embellishments. You can never get enough flowers. Never, never, never. So what I'm doing now is I'm looking at my white page where all of those where all of my photos and journaling is, and I am just going to fill up any space, any area that I feel like needs to not be white. I'm going to fill it with flowers. I am being mindful of the fact that I want 3 clusters, and I want those clusters to make a triangle. So we're going to have a big, large cluster up in that top right corner. I'm going to have a smaller cluster down towards my title, and then I'm going to have this a third cluster over on the side. I also popped up that white cardstock that held my photo and journaling because now I have a little bit of a shelf. I can tuck flowers underneath and on top and create some dimension and some interest. So I'm really just going to go through here. I choose one little butterfly just because I thought it needed just that little bit of area to filled in there beside that second journaling block that I stamped. Once I got to this point, this was where I stopped. So now I'm ready to just go ahead and begin to get all of these ephemera clusters down on a paper, on the page. I am going to go ahead and use more of the foam tape. So the great part about this Big Mama foam tape is you can cut it to any size you want. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to, as I create these clusters, I'm going to snip off little bits of the foam tape so that the floral pieces that are kind of hanging off the edge will now be popped up to the same height as my photos and journaling. In an effort to try to conserve some flowers, I know I have tons, but I'm going to need tons. I'm going to cut some of these flowers in half, and then I have 2 little floral pieces that I can tuck underneath my photos and journaling. And instead of using up 2 flowers, I've only used 1. So I'm going to continue to work my way around the page, just adhering everything down. I love the difference in height. I love the way it looks when some of the flowers are on top of the photos and journaling and title, and some of them are underneath. When I work on this cluster, I'm going to pop up that circle. The sentiment on it worked perfectly for the story that I want to tell and for what I want my journaling to say. And so I'm going to pop that up on some foam tape so it is at the same height as my photos and journaling and title. Now that I have those initial clusters down, I can go ahead and start to look at the page as a whole and see where I might need a little more embellishment to keep things a bit even. I am going to cut that flower in half, and I'm putting it over because notice that on the left side, that cluster goes right up to the edge of the page. I want to make sure that I have a couple of things opposite that are also going to go right up to the edge of the page. That's going to give everything a bit more balance. I centered that layout, so I don't want, if on one side of the page I'm going to have everything go right up to the edge, I really want that same look on the other side, or else it will give the illusion that the white panel with the journaling and photos is crooked or off to one side. But what I really want is for it to look balanced. And I also placed the other half of the flower down at the bottom, just to bring your eye down to where the title is. Now, to finish this layout off, I'm just going to grab some of these gorgeous puffy hearts. I have the hearts on my background paper, so I want to reintroduce that icon and make sure that it is also in my clusters, so that it's not just on the background paper, but it is also in other spots around my layout. And once I have a couple of these little hearts sprinkled around, we're going to call this layout all done. Here are all of the close-ups. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you haven't yet, run, don't walk, over to Nicole's channel and check out what she did with her products for today's layout. I have seen a sneak peek and it is stunning. You don't want to miss it. I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.